again everyone, Dash Attack here, back with another Halo review. And I'm pleased to report episode 4 didn't suck as much as some of the previous episodes have. And in fact, I rather enjoyed this episode, with the exception of one scene, because I don't know where it's going. And Kwan-Ha in particular made a lot of stupid decisions that got a lot of people killed. Before we start, I would just like to remind everyone to please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps. Thank you. So, episode 4, Homecoming, focused mostly on John, Halsey, and her creepy assistant going to Aradnus 2 to find the second artifact. At the same time, or rather, possibly around the same time, since this story arc takes place in over the course of one day, whereas it remains day for the entirety of Master Chief's part of this story. This was possibly an oversight on the showrunners. It wouldn't have been the first. But regardless, while Chief is looking for the artifact, Kwan-Ha goes back to Madrigal with Soren to get the rest of her father's forces to overthrow Fincher. But it turns out those that survived don't really want to go against Fincher because, they're afraid of the Covenant and they believe the UNSC can provide protection. Also, Fincher's in control, he'll kill them. Kwan-Ha doesn't understand any of this, and over the course of the entire episode keeps getting people killed, including her own aunt at one point. She yells and screams and makes a big scene throughout the entire episode, leading assassins to her aunt and killing her. I can appreciate Kwan-Ha isn't a Mary Sue or a Ray, but they gotta make her at least more competent than this. Come on. Also, before she dies, the aunt tells Kwan-Ha that her father started the rebellion over something some mystics in the desert told her. Even more reason for Kwan-Ha not to continue this fight, especially with the freaking aliens. The ones that want to genocide humanity. At least we get to see some fighting and some shooting during this segment of story arc. Too much time passes for it to be happening at the same time as what Master Chief is doing. And what is Master Chief doing? Well, they find the remnants of his old home, and then they start digging in the spot John remembers from his vision. They find a box full of the drawings we saw from those visions, and then John decides to go into the house and asks Cortana to create a reconstruction of the house based on data using his helmet. If any of you have played Ace Attorney Miles Edgeworth Investigations on Nintendo DS, or maybe a better example would be the Arkham games, then you probably know what Cortana is doing. Eventually, as Chief travels around the house looking at the reconstruction, his memories start coming back even without the reconstruction. Cortana even tells Halsey this. Most of the memories are just pleasant memories about his family, his mother and father, and his dog. But we also get the location of the second artifact and where John first came in contact with it. However, the last memory is a recreation of the Fall of Reach scene where Halsey flips a coin and tells John to pick either heads or tails. This was in the books, but it happened in a park. And when John remembers this, he then gets really angry and suspicious of Halsey, who reassures him that, everything's alright. I didn't kidnap you. You were picked up in an orphanage. You came here on your own volition. Which we know is bullshit because it contradicts Halo lore, and Chief is supposed to actually know this in canon. But over the course of the episode, Halsey becomes increasingly worried about how much John is recollecting about his past. Eventually, John tells Halsey where the artifact is, and they head out there. And the episode ends with them finding it. Though how nobody else found this thing when it was clearly dug up is a mystery to me. Let's get to the filler part of this episode. Kai Spartan 125, who saw Chief remove the emotion inhibitor last episode, removes her own emotion inhibitor She then uses her own blood to dye part of her hair red. She and the other Spartans help Miranda with tests on the artifact to see if they get any reactions from it, and Miranda kind of immediately knows something is off with Kai. Then later, they're playing with a needler while Miranda is examining a dead elite. This part I actually liked because I love the needler, but what I would love even more is for it to be fired. Also, apparently grunts do exist, but where are they? Anyways, Miranda suddenly realizes that because the Spartans are always fighting the Covenant, they might know a little bit of their language, at least the language of the Sangheli, the elites. They record a bunch of words off screen, and then the other two Spartans leave the lab. However, Kai and Miranda start hanging out together, and I kid you not, Miranda and her, they show big signs of bedroom eyes. Now, sometimes it's really hard to tell with modern shows whether or not they're making a character gay or if it's just a platonic friendship. Everyone who's played the games knows that Miranda's ethnicity was changed for this show. But if they actually changed her sexuality when canonically she and Johnson were in love, who as far as we know doesn't even exist in this universe, holy cow, this show is a massive troll job on the fandom, if indeed that's where this is going. If you completely alter a character's backstory and their past, but give them the same name as another character, are they even still the same character? I feel like this show is going to answer that question by its end. Anyways, overall better episode, but I still wish this show would take some notes from the Sonic team and how they were able to incorporate game lore and even stuff from other Sonic media and incorporate that into its own original story, making everything fit within that universe. Please check out my other video if you want to hear me talk about that in more detail. Also, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.